Hi guys, welcome back. So let's get stuck into this 26-10 win for South Africa over New Zealand. A really impressive win for South Africa. Definitely better than any of their performances in the Wales series, that's for sure. New Zealand, well, they didn't really come close, to be honest. Yes, they've been on the back of a few losses and they needed to bounce back, and they didn't do it at all. This was probably the hardest game to bounce back on, South Africa at home, but still, that's what they had to do, and it didn't come off. So let's get stuck into the game and talk about the themes that came up, because it was really interesting. Early doors for South Africa, not great signs, with Faf de Klerk going off, really putting his body on the line, but getting a tackle wrong, you can get hurt going low as well. That's an interesting point when we've been discussing high tackles. But Hendrickse has to come on early, and he did great. He does what he does well. His skills are so good. His kicking was phenomenal. So in some ways, maybe that worked out quite well for South Africa, although you don't want to see people go off injured, of course. Now, early signs, South Africa really wanted to test New Zealand at scrum time, as we knew they would, but they really put them under pressure early on. And throughout the game, even though they didn't devastate every scrum, they got plenty of change out of that scrum. So that's always something good for South Africa. And their systems were clicking. That was one of the things about South Africa that was so much better than in the Wales series, is they really were in the right position. They could flow through their attacking phases and they could string lots and lots of phases together and build that pressure. And that's something New Zealand just couldn't do all game. They just couldn't build lots of sustained periods of pressure, which was New Zealand's problem as well against Ireland. On 8 minutes, there's a well-deserved try for South Africa. They've clicked into gear, and it's their kick-chase game and attack that pays off, and that was really good all game. Arenza taps the ball back, gets back involved, and gets the try. He looked really good. I put he's pretty much a Colby Mark II, which is, a bit harsh because he's good in his own right, and he had a great game right up until the end where he spoilt it a little bit. But anyway, that was a great try. 7-0, well-deserved. And I'm making a note here, when the All Blacks attack, their skills were pretty decent, but they were doing the thing that I thought they needed to get away from, and that's attacking from anywhere, really attacking from deep. Clearly that's Foster's way. He wants to attack, he wants to use their skills, but I was just saying they need to work their way into position, do a bit of hard yards first before they do it, but no, they stick to their game plan, and it's just not going anywhere. That South African defence is so on point, they're just not getting through. New Zealand kind of have to be perfect to make it stick, and they don't really get any change out of that passing attack right until the end when it's too late. So let's talk about South Africa's attack, and I like the variation. Sure, they're not popping off the floor and doing anything crazy, but they'll drive the maul for a bit, then they'll go to Diolande, hitting it up, getting the momentum there. They'll go to the backs or work it behind. I mean, their pods are generally in midfield, just big threes of forwards, hitting the middle guy, crashing it up, and then they might go to twos, but it's effective, it's using the whole pitch, it's using all their players, and it was super slick, and they were very low on the error count as well. On 21 minutes, it's Mapimpi getting into the action with the high ball regather. He wins a penalty from that 10-0, and it's pretty much the best 20 minutes they could have hoped for in this opening game for South Africa. And I make a note at this point, New Zealand, they just really need to score next to get into this game, because they haven't had a sniff yet. That kick chase game is really killing them. The scrum is hurting them. The maul's hurting them. It's not looking good. They need to get into this game. 25 minutes, we get a bit of magic from the All Blacks. Beauden Barrett is fantastic. He rescues a seemingly impossible position where the All Blacks are trapped behind their line, initiates an amazing counter-attack, and they maybe could have actually gone the length, but it's a bit of a poor forward pass from Akira Ioane this time. That's a shame, just when they look to cut loose. Now, that's the sort of thing the All Blacks and Beauden Barrett can do, but they wasted that one. And they did have a few chances where the skills did break down. Anyway, on 27 minutes, I'm making another note here that New Zealand are getting into big trouble at scrum time as the pressure starts to build. 28 minutes, South Africa are running their attacking patterns. They're really powering up the middle there. Like I said, getting 3 forwards into the middle just guarantees they're going to get ball. They probably can get away with 2, but 3 there just means they can smash the clear out and go again. People can be in the right positions, trusting that the ball's going to be there. And that's just in contrast to New Zealand. Lots of intricate passing from New Zealand, lots of loops, and it looks good. And you can see how the theory is interesting, but it's not making chances, it's not forcing mistakes, and they are dropping the ball occasionally. On 32 minutes, case in point, Havili, his eyes off the ball. That happened a little bit. No, rule 1-on-1 is watch the ball till you catch it. Havili did it. I think Frizzell did it later on, where you're taking your eyes off the ball, looking where you're going. Cheap mistakes, to be honest. Anyway, on 34 minutes, they get a vital penalty to New Zealand off a poor exit from South Africa. So 10-3, they get some points on the board. They really needed that, but they are on the ropes. Now, a couple of minutes to go before half-time, and New Zealand finally get into a good attacking spell where they really get some good ball-in-hand attack in South Africa's half, get close to the line, but it's that player of the match, Malcolm Marx. He was unbelievable with an amazing jackal. Goodness me, his turnover work was impressive on his 50th cap. Hats off to him. Just, a worldie of a match for sure. The game's well set, as in 10-3 on the scoreboard. If New Zealand come out firing in the second half, they could definitely get back into this game, but South Africa, all the momentum's with them at the moment. But the second half brings absolutely no difference for New Zealand. South Africa are well on top. Every part of their game is on point. Their kick chase is fantastic. Pollard as well, his kicking out of hand was excellent this game. Maybe he wasn't quite right against Wales, but now he looks absolutely spot on. Mpimpi being an absolute beast in the air again, and they're looking very confident in what they're doing. Willemse starts to cut loose a little bit. They're making half breaks. Scrum penalty again, 13-3. So a really bad start for New Zealand. Marx is all over the place as well. Just, like I said, fantastic way to celebrate half a century of caps. Another jackal penalty. And he actually goes off after that because they like to rotate their hookers quite quickly, but Mbonambi's a great player as well. Now, New Zealand could do nothing right in this game, to be honest. On 55 minutes, they finally had South Africa pinned in their own half after a nice tactical kick from Havili. Like I said, some of their skills were really good, but end product wasn't there. They have South Africa under pressure, and it's Frizzell with just a needless offside, gives them a relief penalty, so they just can't make anything stick. And it's deja vu and attack for South Africa, getting their standard shape going, then going to the crossfield kick after they've made good momentum, so everyone's backtracking, win that back of course, and then they get points, and this time it's from a drop goal from Pollard. Everything's going South Africa. It's all clicking into place. So 16-3, this is looking really bad for New Zealand. Now, with 20 minutes to go, the All Blacks really need to score, and it's Coles this time with a really bad drop in contact. It just doesn't feel like it's the All Blacks' day in this game. A catalogue of errors, definitely. Line-out errors as well. Arendse, just making a note here, was tackling really well for a small guy. He was just super up for it. A bit too up for it as he gets in trouble later on, but I was impressed at this point for sure. About 10 minutes to go, there were signs that New Zealand's scrum was solidifying, which is great, but it's a bit too late because there was plenty of damage done. Hendrickse, like I said, had an absolutely fantastic game. Goodness me, his box kicks are so high and so accurate, giving those wingers time to get under the ball. And talking of wingers, I was excited pre-game by the New Zealand back three. Jordan there, Clark on one wing, but South Africa shut them down. Jordan made a few bad mistakes, so it was just going bad to worse for New Zealand. No one was really clicking. I think Ardie Savea went really hard at them, but even he couldn't make the breaks that he maybe normally could. And yeah, my biggest gripe with that New Zealand attack is it's just been overcomplicated from deep, and that does seem to be Foster's way. They've kept going at it, but it hasn't worked. Do they need to change? Do they need to change their coach? But anyway, they get in trouble through that intricate play again. Another penalty, 19-3, and yeah, for me, that's the game gone right there. Now, with 5 minutes to go, Arendse does kind of spoil his day there. He completely misjudges his chase of the kick on Beauden Barrett, takes him out in the air, looks really bad, but Arendse is the one who comes off worse. It's definitely a red card, but too late to affect the game. Now, a minute later, New Zealand, case in point, just getting everything wrong on their timing. Ioane goes ahead of Havili, a little crossing in midfield, just breaks up another good attack, although New Zealand are finishing fairly strong against the 14 men of South Africa, and we finally get a really good break from Clark, and goodness me, Willemse does so well to get back and tackle him, but Frizzell does well to follow up in a really nice stretch and finish for a try for New Zealand, 19-10. With a few minutes to go, they can't win the game, but they could get a bonus point. Now, as New Zealand are chasing the game, Frizzell takes his eye off the ball. A little bit of a schoolboy error, but they're chancing now because they have to run from deep. The ball bobbles around. LaRue, the substitute, hooves it up. 26-10. For South Africa, what was so good was pretty much every part of their game was on point. Their set piece, their attacking shape, their defence, their kick game. Fantastic stuff. Obviously an injury to Faf de Klerk, not so good, but Hendrickse was fantastic. Can they back it up with another victory against New Zealand and really get going in this Rugby Championship, putting them in pole position to maybe win it? New Zealand, they're probably in last chance saloon, certainly Foster's in last chance saloon. Do they go for more of the same in attack, or do they change it up? Do they have the personnel to change it up, or is it a case of completely scrapping that strategy and going for something different? Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. All the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.